Imagine being back in the 19th century when snooker was just a time pass. Who would have thought that it would become a global stage of the 21st century? If you were living in 1927 when snooker originated in the British colonies, I'm sure you would never guess that the game would have become a global sensation today. This is an incredible tale of how snooker attracted audiences worldwide. But how did this iconic tournament evolve, and how did it capture the attention of millions around the globe? Let's take a journey back in time and explore the fascinating history of the Snooker Championship. Are you ready to live its history? In 1927, the game of snooker started to gain popularity, and this continued for decades. But back in the 1920s, it was largely a regional pastime, with no official championships or standard rules being followed. This all turned over when the first official World Snooker Championship took place in London at Calkins Hall in Birmingham, just near the heart of the city. This was just the beginning of something bigger, and the very first game-related event conducted under a standardized set of rules for the game of snooker. At the time, the game didn't have as much of a following as it does today. The first World Snooker Champion? None other than Joe Davis. The name Joe Davis is the driving force for all the upcoming World Snooker Champions. He was an influential player who played a vital role in formalizing snooker into the professional sport which we see today. His gaming style lasted from 1927 to 1940. He won the championship 13 times, and his record was maintained for many years. Davis was the perfect player for this early form of snooker. His precision and temperament were ideal for the game. Unfortunately, World War II started and made the growth of snooker stagnant, resulting in the suspension of the World Championship from 1941 to 1945. During the war, the game suffered a bit, but it didn't stop its eventual growth. Despite the interruption caused by World War II, snooker's revival at the end of the war was instant. The return of the snooker tournament in 1946 revived the interest in the sport completely. Later, in 1948, a new champion emerged, Fred Davis, carving his name in snooker history. It is well known that Davis overshadowed his older brother Joe and became a leading legend in the post-war snooker era. The 1946 return of the World Championship was an essential point for the game, and this championship brought back the spirit of competition and excitement. Walter Donaldson, another big name in the history of the Snooker Championship, marked the return of snooker competition to the limelight and became the first world champion of snooker after the war. Along with him, Fred Davis was another bright star of the snooker game in the 1950s. This era saw a growing number of players from various parts of the world competing in the game, making history of the Snooker Championship. These upcoming legends attracted a lot of audiences by their style of playing and played a major role in the popularity of the World Snooker Championship. Now, the colored television in the late 1960s just gave wings to the game. It gained so much more of an audience because the game was accessible to more and more people. With the ability to view the colored balls clearly, colored television broadcasts helped make snooker more engaging. This made snooker more popular as the game began to make its way into the living rooms of its fans, highlighting the game as a mainstream sport. This television era saw the rise of many iconic players. Reardon, John Spencer, and Doug Mountjoy are some of the top names. The impact of these players, along with the television sessions, turned the tables for snooker, making it a modern-era sport of the time. Snooker was becoming more and more popular, resulting in the birth of many well-known players around the world. The 1970s is affectionately known as the era of the Hurricane. Alex Higgins was a one-of-a-kind player, known for his charismatic and unpredictable approach towards the game. He brought another level of excitement to the sport. At the young age of 22, Higgins became the first world snooker champion against John Spencer. This was a turning point for snooker's championship history. The change led to an explosion in the sport's popularity, particularly as major tournaments were broadcast to the masses. The 1980s are the blooming years for snooker, not only in terms of competition, but also in terms of media coverage. The BBC broadcasts of the Snooker Championship tournaments, such as the UK Championship, made snooker a must-watch sport for the entire world. These broadcasts produced millions of followers for the game. It was the same decade, the 1980s, when people saw the World Championship find its home at the Crucible Theatre in Sheffield. The 1985 World Snooker Championship final is considered one of the greatest matches in snooker history. Dennis Taylor defeated Steve Davis in a thrilling contest, winning on the final black ball. This match made snooker extremely popular across the globe.
He's done it! Dennis Taylor, for the first time, becomes Snooker champion.
And the 1985 Embassy Snooker Champion of the World with a cheque for £60,000 and the trophy, Dennis Taylor.
In the mid-1980s, the funds increased, with the World Championship offering a £100,000 prize pool. This amount continued to grow in the years to come. The 1980s is marked as a turning moment for snooker, both in terms of media coverage and the caliber of competition. The BBC's broadcast turned snooker into a household spectacle, bringing the game to millions of living rooms. These broadcasts attracted millions of viewers, further elevating the status of the sport in the UK and beyond. Stars like Higgins, Thorburn, Griffiths, and White became the names on every fan's mouth, and snooker's international audience grew rapidly. The 1985 World Snooker Championship final is widely regarded as one of the greatest matches in snooker history. That year, we all saw the rise of another snooker icon, Stephen Hendry. His style granted him 5 World Championship titles, making this decade not less exciting than the previous. The final is worth watching to date. Watch and let us know your favourite moment of the game in the comments section.
The 1987 Rothman Grand Prix champion is 18-year-old Stephen Hendry, the youngest ever winner of a major tournament.
Now, in the 21st century, snooker has expanded further into a global sports arena. With players from around the world competing at every level, snooker has become a sport known internationally. The prize money has also grown significantly, with the 2024 World Championship offering a prize fund of over £2.5 million, with the winner receiving £500,000. One of the most notable players of the 21st century is Ronnie O'Sullivan, widely regarded as the greatest player in snooker's history. With numerous world records and owning 6 World Championship titles, he is a true legend. O'Sullivan also holds several snooker records, including the fastest 147 break in just over 5 minutes. His dominance of the sport in the 2000s and 2010s has made his place at the top of the list of snooker legends.
The trophy and the title of 2024 Spread X World Grand Prix champion, the Rocket's Ronnie O'Sullivan!
The game continued to build its specific audience with its sheer skill and strategy. The format of the tournament has remained largely the same, with 32 players competing in a series of matches leading to the final, played over 17 frames. With increased prize money and sponsorships, the future of the game looks very rosy. Today, more and more stars are emerging, and the sport continues to evolve. The legacy of the game is known as one of the world's premier sporting events. With prize funds growing each year, snooker continues to evolve into a global spectacle. From a humble start in 1927 to the modern-day championship at the Crucible Theatre, snooker has become one of the iconic sporting events in the world. So, whether you're a fan of the legends or a new audience to the game, one thing is certain: the future of snooker is as exciting as ever.
The scheme has grown to the point that we're very satisfied where we are, and now we're launching the Global Club Finder. So, the same principle, obviously a much bigger project. We know how big this sport is. We travel all over the world with our events. We have players from all over the world. It's never been more international, the World Snooker Tour. But underneath that are all these places that are providing activity, grassroots activity, finding opportunities for young players to aspire to become professional players. And we're very excited about it.
That's a wrap for this video. Let us know if you liked the video in the comments. For more snooker content, click on the screen right now.